Hey BookTube! Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I've been missing in action. I apologize for being gone so long. I was under the weather for about a week. It was not fun. Didn't even get much reading done, so I am way behind on lots of things, including making videos for this channel. But I thought, let's try to ease back into things, even though this is like my 7th take. And then when I was like really on a roll, I was filming for 12 minutes, and I noticed that my Yeti microphone was flashing, and that meant I was on mute the entire time. Luckily, I did not lose my temper. No, I didn't lose my temper, but I'm kind of like, I'm still not 100%. I am almost 100%. Whew! But darn it, I did not need to waste that much time. But let's get into it, guys. I've got new history books to show you. Like I said, playing catch up. So these books kind of fit into a just an assortment of new titles that are already out. They don't really fit under the the canopy of new history on the horizon, which I will be filming hopefully later this week for you guys. I've got a huge stack down in the parlor of new and upcoming titles, mostly upcoming. But I wanted to get back to these books to show you what has come in. Okay, so without further ado, let's kick it off. We're going to kick it off with a book that I'm not going to read just yet. I mean, I guess I could, but I want to gauge some interest and maybe doing like a reading project. Oh, I don't know, starting when, but it's a busy time for me right now. The fall, even though the fall is like it's a banger, for brand new books, whether it's history, fiction, so many new titles coming out this fall. This is, I guess you'd call it the sequel of sorts, World War I history. And I have the first book. I haven't read it yet, but I'd like to kind of do it. I'd like to read along with, I don't want to read it in isolation. I kind of want to I would love to have a back and forth. But anyway, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Nick Lloyd, and his new book is The Eastern Front, A History of the Great War, 1914 to 1918. Now, this one just came out. This is put out by Norton, W.W. Norton, great publisher. The first book was the Western Front, obviously. What I want to do is I want to read both of these within relative, nearness to each other. Knowing that, fall is busy. I'm going to be traveling a lot next month for work. I'm going to be slammed with work, actually. So the output of my videos is usually pretty thin in October, just because it's my busy time of the year for my job. And in fact, we're prepping for things right now, and so every day is busy for me. I would like to schedule something maybe early 2025. If anyone is interested in doing a reading project, I'm not going to say, I want to give us a lot of time. These are big books. Maybe 2 months for each book, because a lot of us work. We just don't sit around reading all day. So I would love to maybe start with the Western Front. We could do either one, actually. We could actually start with the newest one and then go back to the Western Front. But let's talk about it. Let me know in the comments below if you might be interested. But let's take a look at The Eastern Front by Nick Lloyd. Let's see here. Okay. He starts off with the Dust Jacket copy starts off with a quote from Churchill talking about just how brutal the Eastern Front was. The most frightful misfortune to fall upon mankind since the collapse of the Roman Empire before the barbarians. So, Churchill got it. And it says here, yet Churchill was an exception. And the war in the East has long been seen as a sideshow to the brutal combat on the Western Front. Finally, with the Eastern Front, the first major history of that arena in 50 years, the acclaimed historian Nick Lloyd corrects the record. Using, obviously latest scholarship, eyewitness reports, diary entries, and memoirs, Lloyd moves from the great battles of 1914 to the final collapse of the Central Powers in 1918, showing how a local struggle between Austria-Hungary and Serbia spiraled into a massive conflagration that pulled in Germany, Russia, Italy, Romania, and Bulgaria. The Eastern Front was a vast theater of war that brought about the collapse of 3 empires and produced almost endless suffering. As many as 16 million soldiers and 2 million civilians were killed or wounded in enormous battles that took place across as much as 100 kilometers. It just makes me think again that, when a number like that, 16 million, 2 million, when numbers get to be that large, you lose the human, you lose the humanity. And it reminds me of, probably one of the smartest and most sagest things that, or the sagest thing, I should say, that Stalin said was that, one death is a tragedy, 1 million is a statistic. And it's very true. You kind of lose it, which you never want to do. Unlike in the West, where stalemate ruled the day, the war in the East was fluid, with armies embarking on penetrating advances. Lloyd narrates the repeated invasions of Serbia, as well as the decisive battles between Russian, German, and Austrian forces at Tannenberg, Kamerau, Gorlice Tarnow, and the Masurian Lakes. And it says, all along, he takes us into the strategy of the generals who decided the war's course, from, obviously, the Germans, Ludendorff and Hindenburg, but this one's great, to the Austro-Hungarian chief, Konrad von Hotzendorf. That guy. And I remember reading this, I think, with Bill Rutenberg when we did our read-along of Max Hastings' 1914. Hotzendorf was a goof. I mean, well, not even, you can't even say goof. The guy was just incompetent, Hotzendorf. And then you have the brilliant, the Russian Brusilov. Okay. Perhaps the most radical aspect of the struggle in the East was the violence was not confined to combatants, unfortunately. The Eastern Front witnessed calculated attacks against civilians that ripped the ethnic and religious fabric of numerous societies, paving the way for the horrors of the Holocaust. I can see that, yeah. They're calling this book Magisterial, the definitive account of the war in the East, and that it will fundamentally alter our understanding of the cataclysmic events that reshaped Europe and the world. So, and there is our author. Thank you, Nick Lloyd, for penning these brilliant... I think they're going to be brilliant. But I really want to dig into these. So let me know in the comments below if anyone would be interested in doing a kind of a read-along. Maybe if I get enough interest, I could even do a live stream, some co-hosts. We'll see. I'll feel it out. But, World War I to me is of endless interest. I've read several books on it. More than several, well, a lot of them in my lifetime, but recently I've read, kind of keyhole histories, touching on different aspects, whether it's, PTSD, the soldier poets of World War I. I've kind of done a sampling of different areas, but this is just straight on, boom, military history, and I can't wait to get into it. So if anyone's interested, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see what we can plan for maybe January, make it start in the new year, just because end of the year gets kind of busy, and we're wrapping up Historathon 2024. I still got to get my picks in for October through December. I still want to do a follow-up on all the reading I've been doing for Historathon 2024 all year. So the end of the year is going to be too busy to fit in another reading project. Plus, I'm co-hosting Red September, where we're studying communism in the Soviet Union or in different countries. So, as you can see, still very busy here at the History Shelf, which is fabulous. I love it. I love it. So, Eastern Front 2025. Let me know if you're interested. Boom. Okay, next book. This book has been out for a little while, but I really wanted to get my hands on it. It kind of reminds me in a way of a book I read not too long after I started the channel. Another segue. I didn't realize that I passed my 5th year anniversary on YouTube on September 9th. So less than 10 days ago was my 5th anniversary. I think I was really sick on September 9th, unfortunately. Yeah, that was no fun. But I think I might make a video about, my 5th anniversary. I might even do a book giveaway. The History Shelf is overflowing, guys. Little status update. There's no more room for books in this house. So guess what? I'm actually going to be selling two massive bookcases, and I'm going to be just making more room for other things beside books, because I think at some point it's just not healthy to have so many books. So Peg is giving away some books. I haven't picked them out yet, but there could be a giveaway coming in my just my little 5-year spiel. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's take a look at Judgment at Tokyo. This one is a book I will be keeping. World War II on Trial and the Making of Modern Asia by Gary J. Bass, who also wrote The Blood Telegram, which I think The Blood Telegram, Nixon, Kissinger, and a Forgotten Genocide. Did I write a review of that? That might have... I might have to check back at my work and see if I think I might have read that one. But anyway, let's take a look at what we got here. In the weeks after Japan finally surrendered to the Allies to end World War II, the world turned to the question of how to move on from years of carnage and destruction. For Harry Truman, Douglas MacArthur, Chiang Kai-shek, and their fellow victors, the imperative of justice seemed clear. Japan's military leaders needed to be tried and punished for the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Also for shocking atrocities against civilians in China, the Philippines, and elsewhere, and abuses of prisoners of war in notorious incidents such as the Bataan Death March. For the Allied powers, the trial was an opportunity not only to render judgment on their vanquished foe, but also to create a legal framework to prosecute war crimes and prohibit aggressive war, building a more peaceful world under international law and American hegemony. For the Japanese leaders on trial, it was their chance to argue that they had waged war to liberate Asia from Western imperialism, and that the court was victor's justice. I'm going to read a little bit more from the Dust Jacket, then I'm going to recommend another book for you guys to check out in tandem with this, which I think makes a wonderful supporting read. Anyway, for more than 2 years, lawyers for both sides presented their cases before a panel of clashing judges from China, India, the Philippines, and Australia, as well as the United States, the Soviet Union, and European powers. The testimony reanimated horrific accounts of brutality, the secret plans to attack Pearl Harbor, and the Japanese military's threats to subvert their own government if it sued for peace. Yet rather than clarity and unanimity, the trial brought complexity, dissents, and divisions that provoked international discord among China, Japan, and Korea that continues to this day. The testimony reverberated beyond courtroom walls, encompassing Asia's colonial past and foregrounding its Cold War future, from China's descent into civil war to Japan's post-war democratic elections and India's independence and partition. So this book has it all. This is a magnificent history, a product of a decade of work, researched exhaustively in archives across Asia and the world. This is fantastic. So, I'm really excited to finally have my hands on this one. It's a big one. It's going to be pretty meaty. The text is, you can see this is going to be fairly dense, but it's good stuff. Now, the book I would recommend that you check out maybe before or after you want to read this, if you're interested in this, is Soviet Judgment at Nuremberg by Francine Hirsch. I'm going to put a link below. It's good to be feeling better. What can I say? A link below to an author interview that I had early on in my channel with Francine. And wow, it was just a stunning work because it really put into, it kind of flipped the script on that. It was about the Soviet lawyers and the Soviet lawyers. I think they had like one judge. I'm trying to remember. It's been like several years since I've read it. But how the Cold War seeds were also planted there at Nuremberg, because the Soviets, obviously they were part of the Allied, coalition. That's where the first inklings of, not the first inklings, because I think there were some inklings towards the very end of the fighting in World War II. I know Patton wanted to keep going and just fight Russia or Soviet Union. So, but Soviet Judgment at Nuremberg brings to light just how much there was going to be an ideological clash between, like, say, the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. So that's another great book to pair with this. And interestingly enough, both books have a very red cover. So, for what it's worth. Anyway, and this book is from Knopf, I should say. So, Gary J. Bass, Judgment at Tokyo. All right, I just need a little sip of tea. Pee. All right. Little chatty. Let me get chatty for a minute. I got so excited today because the weather said a 70% chance. We were under a severe thunderstorm warning, waiting for like rain and thunder, chance of hail and big winds, and we got a little sprinkle. And it's heating back up again. And it's like, when is fall going to start, guys? All right. I am so ready for cooler weather. All right. And this book is from Hanover Square Press. I think this was sent to me as a review copy, I think. Or I think they offered it to me as a finished copy, actually. But it looks really great. It's just like a general overall history kind of, it touches like the big major points. But this is Fall of Civilizations, Stories of Greatness and Decline by Paul Cooper. This book came out. It got a great, I like that. What do you call that? Frontispiece. I don't know. This came out, this year. I forget which month, but anyway, this came out and I'm ready to dive in. Oh, I see. It's based on a podcast. Fantastic. I might have to add this podcast to my my repertoire. I like to listen to podcasts sometimes while I'm working, my day job. Anyway, based on the podcast with over 100 million downloads, Fall of Civilizations brilliantly explores how a range of ancient societies rose to power and sophistication and how they tipped over into collapse. Across the centuries, we journey from the great empires of Mesopotamia to those of Khmer and, let me see if I can pronounce this one, Vijayanagara in Asia and Songhai in West Africa. From Byzantium to the Maya, Inca, and Aztecs of Central America. I love reading about the Incans and Aztecs and Mayans. I just love that, Central American history to me is so interesting. Then we go from Roman Britain to Rapa Nui. With meticulous research, breathtaking insight, and dazzling empathic storytelling, historian and novelist Paul Cooper evokes the majesty and jeopardy of these ancient civilizations and asks what it might have felt like for a person alive at the time to witness the end of their world. Well, maybe we don't have to wait too long because maybe we'll be experiencing that ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It could be happening in November. Either way, if you know what I'm saying. No good choices. No good choices. That's all I have to say. What a mess. Anyway, we've got some really great colored... we got the Sumerians. We got colored photographs in here. Ziggurat of Ur. Hell yeah. You gotta love the Ziggurat of Ur, baby. The Assyrians. I have a little, I don't want to say a soft spot because they were some diabolically, they were a very warlike people, the Assyrians, but I've always been intrigued by them. Out of all of the ancient civilizations or ancient peoples, I've always had a slight affinity, not an affinity, I mean, I'm not like them, but I am interested. The Assyrians to me remind me of like the Spartans. You know what I'm saying? War was their business, that kind of stuff. So anyway, Roman, Britain, we've got Han, China. So this just looks like a very fun, like a nice podcast accompaniment, companion piece to the podcast, and which I'm about to go check out now. So, so check this one out from Hanover Square Press, Fall of Civilizations by Paul Cooper. Okay, so this book I think I might have shown this to you in another video. I don't know, but it's already out. I was going to try to review this, and I ran out of time. But this book came out in August, and this is still the advanced review copy, but we've got Midnight in Moscow, a memoir from the front lines of Russia's war against the West. Let me move my keyboard out of the way. Here we go. Foreword by General Jim Mattis. Yeah, I still want to read this, so I'm probably just going to hang on to this one and see where I can squeeze it in. This is a memoir of service by the American ambassador who was on the diplomatic front lines when Putin invaded Ukraine. It's the first behind-the-scenes account of how U.S.-Russia relations hit their nadir and a playbook for our unfolding confrontation. Let's see here. For weeks before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, John J. Sullivan, the U.S. ambassador in Moscow. Did I say that the author's name is John J. Sullivan? Well, I know it was right there for you. But anyway, John J. Sullivan, the U.S. ambassador in Moscow, was warning that it would happen. When troops finally crossed the border, he was woken in the middle of the night with a prearranged code. The signal was even more bracing than the February cold. It meant that Sullivan needed to collect his bodyguards and get to the embassy as soon as possible. The war had begun, and the world would never be the same. In midnight in Moscow, or as Martine has told me a few times, I've always pronounced it Moscow. And she's like, do Americans always pronounce it Moscow? And I said, well, I think some do. She goes, back in Ireland, we pronounce it Moscow. So, interesting. In midnight in Moscow, Sullivan leads readers into the offices of the U.S. Embassy and the halls of the Kremlin during this climactic period, among the most dangerous since World War II. He shows how the Putin regime repeatedly lied about its intentions to invade Ukraine, while also devoting huge numbers of personnel and vast resources to undermining the U.S. diplomatic mission in Russia. And he explains how, when Putin gave his fateful order on February 24th, 2022, he proved that Russia was not just at war with its neighbor, it was also at war in a very real sense with the U.S. and with everything that it represents. Now, in this book, which it shows how our relationship with Russia has deteriorated, where it's headed, and how far we should be prepared to go in standing up to the menace in Moscow. Yeah, baby. Wow. So many things I want to read about Ukraine right now. There's a book coming out this fall. Again, just crazy fall publishing season. I think I'm going to include that book in my new History on the Horizon later this week. I think it's called Intent to Destroy or something like that. But it's a history of, Russia's just continued aggression towards Ukraine. So I'll feature that book soon. But this is another one I really want to read. I love just first-person accounts. So Midnight in Moscow is on my reading list. And it's out right now from Little Brown Books, if you want to check it out. Pardon me. Okay, this book I'm going to save for New History on the Horizon. That hasn't come out yet. I keep meaning to show you guys this book. Let's move back to ancient history, shall we, or Roman history. And this is interesting because this is... Oh, for some reason I thought this was a biography or a history biography, and it's not. It's a new novel, but I'm going to show it to you anyway because we cover historical fiction here on the History Shelf. And this is a writer I tried to start reading his Attila the Hun series. But either way, I really want to start this. This is a new book, first in a trilogy, I think. First in a series or just a trilogy. I have the pub sheet here. This book came out in May, so I'm a little late in showing it to you guys. It's from Pegasus Books. And this is author Con Iggulden, or Iggulden. Yep, and it's a trilogy. The first. This is Nero, baby. Look at that cover. Look at that bee. Almost looks like you can see like a mask, like a skeleton mask or something. That's kind of crazy. So I know we're switching from history to historical fiction, but look at this. Con Iggulden is going to do a trilogy. Fantastic. Let me see. Do I have the actual... Let me see. Okay. It's the first novel from the New York Times bestselling author Con Iggulden in a new trilogy that finds Empress Agrippina and her young son Nero shaping their own destiny. Okay. Let me play Sophia from the Golden Girls. Picture it. Ancient Rome, AD 37. Sorry. Our story begins with a man's hand curled around another's throat. Emperor Tiberius first dispatches a traitor. then the traitor's whole family. Next, all of his friends. It is as if this traitor never existed. This is Roman justice. Into this fevered form a child is born. His mother is Agrippina, granddaughter of Emperor Augustus. But their imperial blood is neither balm nor protection. Rather, it is a liability. Blood is easily spilled or poisoned, so swiftly corrupted. As the aging, paranoid Tiberius becomes blind to the ignoble and awaiting him, Agrippina sees the future. Her once exiled brother Caligula is next in succession, which brings her another step closer to the heart of the empire, to power, ambition, and danger. Every day she will face soldiers, senators, rivals, silver-tongued pretenders, each vying for position. One mistake risks exile, incarceration, execution, or, worst of all, perhaps the loss of her infant son. Because Agrippina knows that, even in your darkest moments, opportunity rises. Her son is everything. She can make this boy, shape him into Rome itself, the one all must kneel before. But first, Agrippina and Nero must survive. All right. Fantastic. This is our author, Con Iggulden. Heck yeah. So I had bought like a paperback of his first book in the Attila the Hun series, which I still want to revisit. I might actually listen to that on audiobook or something. But yes, so this is from Pegasus Books. It came out in May. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I love a good ancient, like Roman history fiction. Love it. And Con Iggulden's name is everywhere. He's covered the War of the Roses, Attila the Hun. He's done the Spartans at Thermopylae. He's done a lot of different books. But yeah, I thought you guys might want to know about this one. Sorry for the glare. It's a weird, I'm losing kind of the light a little bit from outside. And let me see if I turn down my lamp a little. Okay, well, there you have it. Okay. And then I got a finished copy, which I'm so happy about. I just posted on my social media accounts. I wrote a review of this book, and it is fantastic. A Civil War history. We're going back to history. Stephen Budiansky's beautiful, wonderful book on the Battle of Antietam, A Day in September, The Battle of Antietam and the World It Left Behind. This is from Norton, another great Norton title. Norton's been kicking them out lately. I can't keep up. I highly recommended this on my social media. I linked to my written review, which ran in the Washington Independent Review of Books. So if you want to read my review, just go to either one of my accounts, Instagram, my Facebook page with links to the review. Okay, that's where you can always find them, guys. I'm always posting my written reviews on social media. But anyway, they sent me a finished copy because I was using an ARC. I'm really happy to have a finished copy. This book was brilliant. I'll give you a little rundown again. Let's see, because Budiansky takes a different approach to this book. Like I wrote in my review, it's a very human-centered book, and it takes in a lot of different aspects of how it's not a military history. It's not like a movement, like movement by movement. The troops moved here. It's not straight up strategy tactics, although there is some of that. It's wonderfully diverse in how he takes it, in the directions he takes it, I should say. Let me skip part of this. Well, we all know that, September 17th, 1862 was the bloodiest day in American history. More than 3,600 men died in 12 hours of fighting, and more than 17,000 were wounded. And of course, we know Antietam was the turning point in the Civil War, where Lincoln thought it was enough of a victory that he could issue the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, but let me start here. Yet Antietam was not only a battle that dramatically changed the fortunes and meaning of the war, it also changed America in ways we feel today. No army in history wrote so many letters or kept as many diaries as the soldiers who fought in the Civil War, and Stephen Budiansky draws on this rich record to recreate the experiences of those whose lives were forever changed, whether on the battlefield or in trying to make sense of its horrors in the years and decades to follow. Antietam would usher in a new beginning in politics, military strategy, gender roles, battlefield medicine, war photography, and the values and worldview of the post-war generation. A masterful and fine-grained account of the battle, built around the intimate experiences of 9 people whose lives intersected there. A Day in September is a story of war, but also at its heart a human history, one that encompasses Antietam's enduring legacy. It's very true. It's a very deeply human story, and he does focus on 9 different people. He starts with Lee, who would be a soldier. George McClellan, a problem of engineering. Jacob Cox, who was a Union general, the assault heroic. Then we go into like the doctors, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., his experiences there, even James Longstreet, and that kind of talks more like, that's definitely more, chapter was more military related. Oh, and then we move on to photography, Alex Gardner, and we learn that, how he's actually staged his photographs. And then Clara Barton. That was kind of a revelatory chapter for me because, I haven't read a 1-volume biography on Clara Barton, but, she definitely wasn't a Florence Nightingale. Let me just say, she was great, but she was also a big pain in the tush for a lot of people. And then, of course, Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation. But A Day in September, I highly recommend this book, you guys. Civil War fans, you need this on your shelf. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a rich read. Okay, 2 more books. I have a finished copy of, I haven't read it yet, but I've got so many books on World War II. But it sounds pretty interesting. I don't know when I can get to it. I don't know. So let's see. This could be part of my 5-year anniversary giveaway. Let's see. But I'll see if I can squeeze it in. This is A Quiet Company of Dangerous Men by Shannon Monahan, the forgotten British special operations soldiers of World War II. And this is put out by Viking. All right. Ooh, there have always been special warriors. Achilles and his Myrmidons are the obvious classical examples. Pardon me. What we now think of as special operations, however, were born in World War II. And one of the earliest and most exciting units formed was Britain's Special Operations Executive. Also, you'll see it everywhere, SOE, the acronym. In the early years of the war, when Britain stood alone against the Nazis, Churchill put the SOE on a mission to set Europe ablaze, to foment local revolt, to gather intelligence, to blow up bridges, and to do anything that could help to disrupt the Axis cause. A Quiet Company of Dangerous Men is the untold story of 4 SOE officers who, across multiple theaters of World War II and in the hottest parts of the Cold War, distinguished themselves in this fight. The Spanish Civil War veteran Peter Kemp, the demolitions expert David Smiley, the born guerrilla leader Billy McLean, and the political natural Julian Amory. I haven't heard of any of these guys. With new and extensive research, including unprecedented access to private family papers that reveal the men's unbreakable bonds and vibrant personalities, Shannon Monahan has uncovered a story of war in the 20th century that, due to the secretive nature of the SOE's work, has remained largely unknown. This is a thrilling and inspiring story of 4 remarkable men who, through sheer determination and daring, as well as unwavering friendship and loyalty, fought for a better world. Oh, wow. Look at this author photo. There's our author. Oh, I used to have flowing locks like that. Well, maybe not that long, but I did have hair down to past my shoulders at one point. Back when I was a youngster, when I was like 18, 19, 20. I had long hair, big, long, dangly earrings. Anyway, A Quiet Company of Dangerous Men. If you're interested in, special ops and stuff like that, this might be up your alley, especially World War II related. All right. Final book, guys. I first saw this book. I'm just gonna straight up disclaimer. I saw this book on Triumphant Readers. Justin, the Triumphant Reader, his channel, and I was like, I've got to get this book because I have always had a very, I want to say love-hate, and that's not a love-hate relationship. I've always been haunted by, this is more of a natural history. Okay, this is about an animal, shall we say. This is The Secret History of Sharks. So thank you, Justin, for putting this on my radar. The Rise of the Ocean's Most Fearsome Predators by John Long. Yes, this is put out by Ballantine Books. This is a brand new title of from this year, I believe. Oh my God. See, I have a visceral reaction anytime I see something like this. I always pull backwards and you witnessed it. I can't look at that without being like, it terrifies me. They terrify me. I used to live in Florida when I was 13, 14, 15. Okay, focus, focus. Oh, I see the shark it scared off the camera. It won't even focus now. There we go. Okay. Okay, let me put that back on. Gosh darn, the light is weird tonight. Yeah, I used to live in Florida and was made to snorkel. Yeah, I was made to snorkel. And I always envisioned like looking off into the opening of the bay, like something swimming out of the murk. And you know what? Seeing Jaws when I was really young, when I was even younger, like 8 or 9, that didn't help. That did not help. Sharks, and just seeing that fin in the water. Now, I know that they are a necessary creature. Okay, I do know that. Okay, I think we should leave them alone. But I'm tired of people saying they don't eat humans. Because in a pinch, they will, listen, people will say, look, they don't prefer humans. Oh, there goes our neighbor's boy. Hi, Asher. He's on a scooter. They'll take a bite and then they'll leave you alone. Okay, well, usually the bite is enough to kill you. Okay, one. And number two, what about all these stories we hear about people set adrift at sea, after their boat sinks and they're in life rafts and the sharks are like underneath the raft, like banging it. Like they want to eat you. They want to eat you. So I do think that sharks, obviously, they will eat anything. They're not picky. They're not going to spit out a human being. Come on. Let's get real. And maybe they say that because they don't want people to go hunting sharks. I get that. But let's just be honest. They eat people. They will eat people in the right situation. That period. Full stop. So let's get into it. Sharks have been fighting for their lives for 500 million years, and today they are under dire threat. They are the longest surviving vertebrate on Earth, outlasting multiple mass extinction events that decimated life on the planet. But how did they thrive for so long? By developing superpower-like abilities that allowed them to ascend to the top of the oceanic food chain. John Long, who for decades has been on the cutting edge of shark research, weaves a thrilling story of sharks' unparalleled reign. The Secret History of Sharks showcases the global search to discover sharks' largely unknown evolution, led by Long and dozens of other extraordinary scientists. They embark on digs to all 7 continents, investigating layers of rock and using cutting-edge technology to reveal never-before-found fossils and the clues to sharks' singular story. As the tale unfolds, Long introduces an enormous range of astonishing organisms. A 30-foot-long shark with a deadly saw blade of jagged teeth protruding from its lower jaws. Lord, help me. A monster giant clam crusher. Okay. And bizarre sharks fossilized while in their mating ritual. Whoa, all right. The book also includes startling new facts about the mighty megalodon with its 66-foot-long body, massive jaws, and 6-inch serrated teeth. With insights into the threats to sharks today, how they contribute to medical advances, and the lessons they can teach us about our own survival, The Secret History of Sharks is a riveting look at scientific discovery with ramifications far beyond the ocean. So this will be my nightmare fuel when I choose to dip in. Just this reaction I had looking at that photo is just that's the kind of stuff that scares me. Like people are like, how can you watch so many horror movies? Like, but doesn't that bother you? Nope. Scary movies? Nope, doesn't bother me. What bothers me are real things. The real human monsters in society. And animals that can kill you in reality. So that's why scary movies do not bother me. Oh, which I should mention, Martine and I, we plopped down like $18 one night. We treated ourselves. We've been dying to see that new horror movie, Longlegs, with Nick Cage and Micah Monroe. Woo! Chef's Kiss, because that was creative, original, and unlike any horror movie I've seen in a while. Very disturbing. You know, I don't enjoy movies though that have like a satanic element. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, okay? But, you know, I don't know. This one was nuts. And Nick Cage deserves some type of award for his performance. He wasn't in it very much, but when he was, you were terrified because he played a human monster, really. So those are the things that scare me, not bumps in the night and ghosties and goblins. And I can, I'm just such a horror. I've been watching horror movies all my life. Nothing really scares me. But things like this I would put on my reading list for Halloween next month. I'm going to be doing a video for you guys actually. I'm going to call it like Halloween reads or Halloween in history. I've got some books already stacked up over here I want to show you that I want to get to in October. Both like novels, scary, horror novels, but also there's some books here on the history of horror, which fits perfectly for this channel. So that's coming. And then I could add the sharks to that list because to me that's terrifying. All right, you get the point. Woo! All right, guys. Well, that was 41 minutes, but I'm happy I got this one in. I got to show you some books. Let me know if anyone's interested, and next year maybe, if I have enough interest, we can do the Western and Eastern Front read-alongs for the books by Nick Lloyd. I would love to do that with you guys. I think Bill Rudenberg might be interested in that, but Bill, I don't want to tie you down. You got a lot of things going on. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bounce out for now. It's 7 o'clock here. I need to make some dinner and unwind for the night. So, but I'll be back soon. I'm back pedaling. So you should see me again soon. Thanks for hanging with me. And thank you for all the well wishes when I posted on the community chat. So many people were praying for my healing and my health. And I thank you for that. You guys are really so kind to me. And I really just, I have a lot of warm feelings for many of you. You see how I qualify that? For many of you. No, you guys are all great. You're all great. And thank you again. All right, until next time, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf, where you will find everything you want on history, historical fiction, and even throwing in a variety of different, nonfiction titles and other fiction. I do it all, but we're sticking with the name. All right, guys, until next time, we'll see ya. Take care. Bye.